Welcome everyone. It's a beautiful day, May 30. It is just at the tail end of the day. Apparently, there's one more day left. Tomorrow is 31st, so watch out for that. It's a Friday, and it's a day that the entire Southeast is on a lockdown of some sort. Because while I was on my way to work this morning, there were empty streets. Shops were shut, schools were not open. In fact, if you look at the entire thing, you would know that there's something happening. In fact, most of the schools sent messages to pupils that they're not opening today. From private schools to public schools, no one is opening today. Shops are even shut down. The almighty stores, I'm talking about the ShopRite Access of Enugu State, is also shut down. And if you look at the entire landscape within the Enugu metropolis, you will know that there's something just not right, with the environment, because there are no much vehicles moving around. All right, we'll speak to this issue and even more, and of course, as it relates to the Igbo nation and the unity of this country. We have with us via Zoom this morning Ken Ofoma. He's a veteran journalist and an administrator. Ken, good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Okay, thank you so much, Ken. I appreciate you for your time. We're talking about Igbo unity. I mean, I'm sure that part of the reasons why you're on the other side is because of the fact that you're not able to come out, sit at home where you are. Can you give us a little bit of an update on the situation where you are? Are people sitting at home? Did people really go out?
Yes, I was shocked, really. I even forgot that today is a sit at home. But when I stepped out from my house, not from the main road, major road, along 6th Avenue, I was shocked that I met a ghost street. I didn't see a lot of vehicle, the normal bubbling that you see on a morning like this. And then that reminded me that today is the 30th of all the shops shut. Only skeletal keke and private vehicles were moving around the road. And that was the situation. Even within the streets, inside the streets, that normally opens, or even on other sit-at-home days, but within the small shops within the streets, they were also shut. Apparently, everybody wants to pay, but private vehicles were moving. Once in a while, you see one private vehicle that to move. That's the situation.
All right. I mean, over the years, we've done sit at home, mostly because the people who are the proponents of the sit at home are those who are saying that would some way pressure the federal government to release their leader. Do you think that this sit at home is working, is doing anything in that direction?
I think that the normal sit at home that was triggered by the arrest of their leader, Nnamdi Kanu, that was 2021. That is quite different from today's sit at home. They normally have this one, 30th of May every year, I think as a special commemoration of the declaration of Biafra. I think 30th of May, 1967. And they said today is like a memorial to remember those that were lost, those that were killed during that 3-year civil war, Nigeria-Biafran civil war. And that is what today is commemorating. But like I said, the other sit at home that they normally do on Mondays, that one is almost going down. As that one was as to pressure for the release of their leader. But even their leader had come out to say that they should stop that one. And the leader of the spokesperson of IPOB, Indigenous People of Biafra, Emma Powerful, has also come out to to say that they should stop that one. But apparently that one was hijacked by other elements that were using it to perpetrate other criminal activities. But today's zone is a commemoration of the war, the Nigerian Biafra Civil War. Am I still on?
Well, I actually wanted to ask if you feel that more of what we have done sitting at home, I mean, you can look at the effects generally on businesses, on schools. Today, schools are shut down, businesses are shut down. I mean, no vehicles are moving out or even into because of these things. Do you think it's in any way that this sit at home has done more good than harm to us?
It has done more harm than good. That is the truth of the matter. But I think there is need for serious engagement by our leaders, the government, the Igbo, and Igbo social cultural organization. There should be dialogue. There is nothing wrong trying to hold memorial for whatever culture or history that you hold there by any group. English people hold memorial for the Holocaust, even Europe and Germany hold memorial for the end of Second World War, the surrender of Hitler's Germany. But they don't shut down the entire nation. They do that in seminars, in holding discussions, holding remembrance church service, and to use generally to sensitize, to try to understand what led to those wars and how to avoid such conflicts in the future. But in our country, we try to shut every view down. Even attempted to, at a point, the government attempted to stop history, the teaching of history in the schools, which is not good. There are things you cannot foreclose easily. People hold some of these memories dear, and so they can commemorate, but you don't need to shut down the whole system because you want to do that. It could be done in a civilized manner. Like I said, it should be, even a government can adopt, Nigerian government as a nation should designate today as the day for remembrance of victims of civil war, Nigerian Biafra civil war. There's nothing wrong with that, But if you say no, you don't want to hear anything about that, you don't want to go into history. Now, these elements, these other people now want to take advantage of it and say we must celebrate it. It's an ideology. You cannot kill an idea. So I think that government should change their own stance and find a way to engage and educate these proponents that we can do this in a more civilized manner that will not disrupt the economic activities and the lives of the people. Okay, can you imagine today? I think some students are in their WAEC, West African examination. They're going to be affected because there is no transportation, as I observed this morning. So those students will be affected. And I know WAEC is not just written in Nigeria alone or Southeast. It's something that is done across West Africa. So it's part of the disadvantages of down because of this kind of development. Thank
you. Really, you have highlighted some of the issues that we are facing. I mean, for you as somebody who has been around, I mean, you've followed this particular story for as long as it has been. Do you think that somehow what made us go into that war in 1967, do you think that right now those things have been addressed, even though at the time we had the RRR, which is the reconstruction, rehabilitation, rehabilitation, and I think there's another R that I totally forgot. Gowon actually mounted at the time. Do you think that we have gone past that stage? That so much so we are still left in that thought of thinking that we are marginalized, and even in that stench of marginalization, people are still saying that within us as Igbos, there are people who still marginalize Igbos, because you cannot equate the amount of monies that have come into the Southeast with the development that is in the Southeast.
Well, marginalization and coming out of the after effect of the Civil War, yeah, I can understand really that the RRR declared by the head of state then, Gowon, that program was not faithfully executed. There was no commensurate development, rehabilitation, even reconciliation. But the people of the East, which today includes part of South-South, they are resilient people. They were able to rise, and within a very short time, you wouldn't remember that they had a war, But I think that it is time for our people to begin to change our psyche and our attitude towards that. Yes, we may be marginalized, but we know that we have special qualities. Are we together? Are we together? So we yes, we can rise above those sentiments and forge ahead. There is always need for dialogue and discussion. Like I said, the government, both at the national and subnational level, our sociocultural groups should begin to think about engaging the youths, the younger ones who are trying to promote this ideology. That there's nothing you can gain through force. It's always through dialogue, and you continue to strategize and plan to be able to also be part of the nation. And the leaders should also do more to try to integrate the people. There are some policies the federal government introduced. All these policies should be faithfully implemented. If you talk about federal character in appointments, we should see that practically happening, and not when somebody becomes a president. You discover that all the appointments and the infrastructure will channel towards one section of the country against other sections. So efforts should be made to engage in policies and programs that will integrate the people and emphasize our oneness than our divisive tendencies.
Ken, can you please stay on the line? I have another guest on the line, Ofoma And Nobis Enendu. Is a legal practitioner. He is going to also join in on this conversation as relates to the Igbo nation, the sacrifices and the unity as it relates to Nigeria. Thank you so much, Mr. Ofoma And Nobis.
Thank you.
All right. You see, when we talk about Igbo unity, I mean, for the very first time, I really haven't seen this before, especially for the Igbo nation. For the very first time in 2023, the Igbos came out to speak to, who they think, who they are aligned with to lead the nation. Do you think that that particular 2023 elections was a defining moment for Igbo unity? And how have we so far harnessed that unity that we saw in that presidential elections in other things that would help us, engage at the federal level?
A point of correction. I do not think 2023 or 2023 was a defining moment for the identification of the personality, individuality, and nationhood of the Igbo nation. I don't think that is correct. So we'll take it from there. If you recall, way back in 1979, there was what we called then the NPP, who had our revered statesman, the foremost statesman Nigeria ever had, in the person of late Honorable Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. He was the presidential candidate of the NPP in the 1979 election, and he won all the 3 Igbo states, including 2 other states, that is to say Plateau and Kano State. So that should have been your reference point when you are talking about defining moment in historical perspective. So, but let me take you up from what you've just mentioned relating to the 2023 election. Yes, in modern political jurisprudence, 2023 presidential election, actually sent a loud message. He made a very reverberating statement in the political discourse, in the political equation, in the political arrangement in Nigeria. That moment was not, I don't think one should credit it to the Igbos. I do not think so. To credit it to the Igbos means to dwarf the political growth of the Igbo man, to the political development of the Igbo nation. That moment was a moment when the youths of Nigeria stood up to take the destiny of their country in their own hand, their own destiny in their own hand. So that is the correction I want to make, so that we have our discussion from a sound and correct perspective or premises. Thank you.
Yeah, but again, I still think that 2023 was. I mean, you mentioned the amount of states that our former leader actually won at that time. But if you look at the 2023 elections in terms of the results, even though some persons will say that it's mostly skewed, but for this discussion, we're looking at what INEC actually gave. He won Lagos, he won FCT, he won 12 states, in fact, and some persons say it is one of the defining moments for the Igbo unity. Well,
I want to correct that
it's up to you to say, well, it's not for you the defining moment for Igbo unity. But what I actually was trying to put out is, do you think that we have ever had, one voice when it comes to speaking about policies, about programs, as it relates to the national politics? Do you think that the Igbos have had one voice in things that matter as it relates to their unity in getting something from the center?
Again, a misconception. A misconception of thought, a misconception of objective, a misconception of principle. The 2023 election wasn't anything about the Igbos. It was about Nigeria. I think we should try to reconstruct the narrative to bring it properly in the real issues that have dwarfed not the Igbo nation, but Nigeria as a whole. The 2023 was not an Igbo affair, please. To consign it to the little corner of Igbo nation means certifying the achievement we derived, the lessons garnered from the 2023 election. Peter Obi, who ran under the Labour Party, I believe that is what you are talking about, did not run as an Igbo candidate. He ran as a Nigerian candidate, presidential candidate. So you have to draw a line between nationalism and statism, or between ethnicity and nationality. P2B wasn't an ethnic candidate. He was a Nigerian candidate. And as you rightly pointed out, it was exemplified. His Nigerian candidacy was exemplified in the areas he won his elections. For instance, he won Lagos State. And we all know what Lagos State has been described in the recent past as. He won Abuja. These are the two most cosmopolitan cities, which has every individual of any tribe you can mention in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, these were the two centers, these were the two cities that seated the federal governance apparatus. It seated the government of Nigeria. Lagos first, then Abuja. So, if P2B could have won those two central cosmopolitan cities or states, though you call Abuja not a state, you call them a federal capital territory, even though the Supreme Court in recent decision said it is not a state or it is a state. Nobody knows which one it is, but the Constitution does not regard Abuja as a state. The Constitution regards Abuja as a federal capital territory. It's not a state because it doesn't have a governor, doesn't have a House Assembly. These are elements, these are factors, these are ingredients of a statehood. So, P2B won those two areas. My brother, unless you want to deceive yourself, as many people, those who feel that they are stupid, would like to deceive themselves, that those states that P2B won does not define Nigeria. Those are the states that define Nigeria. And that those states made P2B singularly, eloquently, significantly, fundamentally a national statesman and the foremost presidential candidate in that election, in my personal opinion.
All right. Well, we'll concede to your personal opinion, but it's a good one. But another question I want to ask is, what do you think were the roles of governors of the Southeast in Igbo unity, and how much of their role do you think affect how Igbos see themselves?
Governors of Igbo states, their roles are defined by the Constitution. It doesn't matter how anybody sees it. That is just the truth. They have a constitutional responsibility to discharge. But because they come from different states, to look at what are the issues that affect their states. If I were to ask the question, I would ask my question would have been, are the governors of these 5 eastern states actually discharging the enormous duties imposed or burdened on their shoulders by virtue of their election? Do they actually represent the Igbo interest? Hello?
Yes, go ahead, go ahead. We're listening to you.
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, do they actually, yes. Do they actually represent the Igbo interest? The answer is yes. It is always simple. It is always easy to criticize when you are out there. It's just like a guy watching a draft match. People playing draft. You will see, oh, or a guy watching a spectator in the field in the football field, watching as a spectator where Ronaldo is playing. Oh, he missed that goal. Well, you would have done if you actually knew how to score, you would have gone to the field to play. It is not easy to sit as a governor. And I do not believe anybody will go to election just to go there and mess up. And issues must be put in proper perspective. What are the responsibilities of the state government? I mean, the state governors. You have to define those, you have to marshal out those responsibilities, and we'll take them one after the other. It is not good to generalize. For instance, in my state, Anambra State, where I come from, or in Enugu State, where I'm presently domiciled, we have seen what Governor Peter Mbai is doing. In the last 2 years, apart from Sullivan Chime, I cannot recall any time in the governance of Enugu State that I've seen the kind of massive development that's going on within a very small space of time. In Anambra State, in the past, we had people like P2B, whose exemplary governance style remains legendary. He recorded many firsts and you cannot by envy or jealousy discard that. You cannot write it off. You cannot wish it away. Every other thing that's followed thereafter was just supplementary. Today, Soludo is there. Soludo is my brother. He's doing his bit. It is too early for me to call result for him. I cannot measure what he has done. Yes, in my area local government, he's building a flyover and he's doing one or two other things. But then it's still a long call to go. So, but generally speaking, I assess every governor from what I see as the prime responsibilities, the prime challenges he faced at the time he came into governance. It is wrong to categorize governors generally by overgeneration that they have not done this, they have not done that. As far as I'm concerned, they're protecting the interests of Igbo man.
All right, just stay on the line, Mr. Nobis. Let's get back to Ken. Ken, thank you for staying on. But just to take it off from where Nobis left off, we know that Ofoma And Nobis plays a significant role in the unity of Igbo and what they seem to project when it comes to the nation called the Igbo nation. How much of that do you think that they are doing in making sure that what is exactly theirs, is gotten?
Okay, very well. Like I hinted earlier, there are some responsibilities in terms of trying to bring the Igbo people together culturally, or even in agitating for certain regional rights that fall within the remit of the social cultural, like we have Ohaneze, you have Afenifere for Yoruba, you have Pandef for Niger Delta, have Middle Belt Forum, you have Arewa, and so forth. If you look at what they do, they agitate for overriding issues that affect what they can get from the federation. For me, still we are facing as a nation. When you see these various groups making certain agitations, is for me still a sign that we are still not a nation. We are just a country made up of different ethnic groups. Now, some of the allegations some people place against governors from the Southeast that they are not much, they are doing this or that. My coach cousin has put it in the right perspective that they have a constitutional role. And then they are not doing like any other governor from any other side. But our point is how much electoral reform have we put into the system as a nation? Whether you're a governor from Southeast, whether you're a governor from Southwest, whether you're a governor from North Central or any other part of the country, that the people that will elect you, people from your state, will choose the best out of the lot that will be contesting for that position. Because that is important. I am sure that if people elect who they want, if they vote with, then you have good leaders. I can tell you that there are people, whether as governors, whether as House of Rep members, senators, who are in government presently, who don't deserve to be there. And because of the questionable way they found themselves in office due to the weakness in our electoral system. So when we have governors in the Southeast, let us not make the mistake that we have people who come and champion Igbo cause. How they came to power is a different ball game, and they have different objectives. But generally, they are Igbo people. So whatever they do, we can say that they're also representing the Igbo interest. But Ohaneze should be playing that overarching role of trying to bring the governors together and define a mission for them, and also define a role for them. Much as they do what they do within their various states, there should be a central agenda, like central economic agenda that will develop the region. Economic, and talk of regional economic integration. It can define for them different areas of comparative advantage. That since we are one regionally, as a region, if you are from Ebonyi State, can you do more on agriculture where you have a comparative advantage? If you are from Anambra State, can you do more on commerce, industry, auto parts, so that from the other states can also patronize you. If you are from Abia, can you do more on maybe textile industry, shoe industries, and what have you? If you are from Enugu, can you also measure on agriculture, and minerals, and what have you? And then, how can the governors come and execute a central project? For instance, you can do rail that will link the states in the southeast. They can come together. I mean, float maybe a central company, a proposed vehicle that can anchor a major program that will cut across the parties. You can even get assistance, funding from international agencies, provided that there is clarity that the money that may be gotten will be applied for the purpose. If they take, for instance, that they want to do rail, forget about federal government. You can do rail. It's not in the exclusive list. It's in the concurrent list. You can decide, okay, we can do power. You can establish, a power generating facility to supply. You can decide, okay, we want to revive Uji River Power Station, which was giving the region electricity during the First Republic and what have you, even though the capacity is low. They can decide to increase the capacity. They can even decide to partner with the federal government, float a company to begin to explore our coal resources and what have you. So, but the Ohanese should also be in a position to bring them together. Even this issue of sit at home, Ohanese should be able to take over that kind of narrative so that they will guide and lead it properly, that the youths will not hijack it and use it negatively like they are doing now, declaring a state of, sit at home. If Ohanese should come up with a program that they should be doing 30th of every May, it will be seminars, it will be memorial service, and the youth will not hijack it. Ohanese can also champion education in the region. So there are things they can, of course, the issue of language, Igbo language, how to promote our language, how to promote our culture. They used to have Igbo Day or Igbo Cultural Day to celebrate our cultural heritage and what have you. But you discover that over the years, the leadership of Ohanese have been politicized. The governors struggle to hijack the leadership so that we use it for their own political gain, how to support the presidential candidate of their own party or for any other cause other than what Ohanese should be doing. So the problem we have in electoral system in
Hello, Ken. Oh, looks like we have lost that connection. Ken, can you hear me? Excuse me. Can you hear me, Ken? Hello, Ken, can you hear me? Okay, let's see if we can connect to Nobis. Nobis, can you hear me? Hello, Nobis, Mr. Nobis?
Me?
Hello, Nobis,
can
you hear
clearly.
me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so back to you on this particular matter. The whole lot of persons have been speaking largely about one Nigeria. In fact, since the war ended, 1970, We've been hearing one Nigeria, one Nigeria. But many persons have also said for you to talk about one Nigeria, there must be a special addressing of the grievances that led to the 1967 to 1970 war. Do you think that the people who have these sentiments are justified, given what we're now facing as a country that is divided at long ethnic lines and a country that is divided along all shades? In fact, we still have suspicion amongst us ourselves. Do you feel those people have the right direction and right thinking, given that sentiment?
If I have to be honest with you, my straightforward answer would be that the term one Nigeria is a mirage. It is a term that was originally founded in deception, and a term that exists only on the pages of our newspapers and on the voices of those who tend to benefit from the efforts, from the blood, and for the resources of those who actually did all they could to build a nation or to find a nation called Nigeria. In actual fact, in actuality, one Nigeria is a wishful thinking. But it is a concept that we all would have loved to have in practical terms. In practicality, one Nigeria is a slogan, a manifesto, an ideology utilized for those who think that they own others to have their nails on the neck of those they consider as second-class citizens. But if you look at the document that finds the reliance on that term, you discover that my allegation that the term is founded in deceit is aptly made. Here is a country that claims or purports to have a constitution given to themselves by themselves, when none of them was where that constitution was conceived. And you say it is a constitution of the people. So if your constitution, the governance document, the governing document, the governing instrument that guides the conduct of your affairs generally is founded in deceit, how then can you claim that you have a one Nigeria? It is like the 3RRR propounded or instituted on the pages of newspaper and on television screen by Yakubu Gowon immediately after the surrender of Biafra. Yes, we all know that there's no 3RRR today in Nigeria. There's none. There's none. So are you talking of one Nigeria when different standards apply to to every stream of affairs in the country? Different standards apply. Take, for instance, the admissions in universities, what you call jump exams and whatever. Here, you see a group of people scoring 5%, and they will be qualified to read law and medicine in various universities. And you see another candidate scoring 300, and they say he's not qualified. You start wondering, what are we actually doing? This is really, it sounds like comedy. It's comical. It's ridiculous. It's preposterous. And you say one Nigeria. Look at what happened in the recent JAMB examination. The Southeast, 80% of the candidates did not see their results, or their results were too poor. The whole of Southeast. And the other areas where the Southeasterners are known to inhabit. Candidates who sat for JAMB examination in those areas came back with nothing to show that they attended any examination. And nothing is being done about it. Look at the resources in the South-South, what they call the South-South. I don't know what the meaning of that nomenclature, South-South. This is a country where people just wake up in the morning and coin one preposterous term and start applying it. What is South-South? And we don't have North-North. We don't have West-West. We don't have East-East. You have South-South. What kind of nomenclature is that? What is the term? Now they have resources, mineral resources. The mineral resources produced in the South-South, please tell me what is the development in South-South? Please tell me where are the refineries in the South-South? The refineries are in Kaduna and in various other places in the North. The North doesn't produce mineral. There are pyramid of granules. Nobody sees it anymore. Who are the owners of the oil wells? How many Southerners have oil wells? Then how many Northerners have oil wells? And you're talking of one Nigeria. Is it one Nigeria? What one Nigeria are you talking about? When some people carry arms and phononama, what they call cow or cattle, up and down. They carry arms in the streets, in the bushes, killing people everywhere here and there. And then those who do not carry arms, you say they are terrorists. Those who do not kill, you say they are terrorists. One Nigeria. One Nigeria, you have rail lines. You have oil pipelines conveying oil to whatever places you have in the north. Then the people who produce the oil, there's no single industry, there's no single, no site of any federal government institution in their place. In terms of industry and all that. One Nigeria. I can go on and on. It's a litany. Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you, Nobis. I'm following you.
I can go on. One Nigeria. One Nigeria. Look at the federal appointment. Yesterday, we were talking of a man called Buhari, who was our president. We talked about him being ethnicizing government structure. Today, we have the best politician in Nigeria, as far as I'm concerned, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the best politician. But being a politician is different from being a leader. There are two different things. The allegation everywhere is that has Yorubanized government apparatus in terms of political appointments and the dispensation of government legacies. What we were condemning in the days of Buhari. Look at today in Nigeria, you cannot even criticize the government. If you do so, they say you are doing what they call, is it cyber stalking or whatever they do. I told you before, there's no type of nomenclature I have not come across in this country. One Nigeria. One Nigeria, you say you have a federal character. You have a federal character that defines one Nigeria. Tell me how many Igbos are seated in government offices. Tell me how many industries instituted by the, erected by the federal government in Igbo land, where I come from. Tell me, how many ministers are from the Igbo region? How many? But this is a country where the Igbo man was the first professor, was the first vice chancellor of University of Lagos, first vice chancellor of University of Ibadan, had established the first university in the country, established the first indigenous bank in the country, founded the country. The great Zeke founded the country. Whether you like it or not, no matter how you want to belittle the importance of history, no matter how you want to hoodwink anyone. Zik remains the most outstanding political Iroko. And he's an Igbo man. Look at what he did. As a matter of fact, he sacrificed his own personal ambition just to make Nigeria one by conceding the prime ministerial seat to Tafawa Balewa after winning the election, winning the majority votes in the election of the First Republic. But to make Nigeria one, he considered it. Look at Agui Ironsi. To make Nigeria one, he introduced a policy of what they call unitary government. But what happened? Those who claimed to be the owners of the country and who today mount one Nigeria, they killed him in a coup and said that the reason is because he introduced unitary government. Please ask me, pray, what do we have in Nigeria today? Is it not unitary government? And nobody has come to say, I'm sorry about that. My brother, I do not like to do. I thought that I was going to discuss issues relating to Igbo contribution to Nigeria. I didn't know you were going to go into politics. I don't want to discuss politics because I retired from politics in 2015, precisely June 12, 2015. That's when I retired from politics. Because what is happening in Nigeria today and why you cannot have, let me even ask you, there is one Nigeria. Why is it that people like our current president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, my beloved president, I love that man. But why is it that he introduced the issue? He was the one who actually spearheaded the clamor for reconstruction, restructuring of Nigeria. If there is one Nigeria, would there have been a call for restructuring? Answer is no. There couldn't have been one. And we're looking at him, as far as I'm concerned, that is the only thing Bola Ahmed Tinubu will do in Nigeria today that will endear him to me as a very good president. That will get from me for him a pass mark or excellent mark if he eventually succeeds in reconstructing, in restructuring Nigeria to in fact achieve that end, that goal, that objective of having a sound and solid one Nigeria unified in one faith, which we all have always aspired to. But, you know, wishes are not horses, otherwise beggars will ride. We all want one Nigeria. I want one Nigeria. I advocate one Nigeria. But those who are in the hem of our face, those who have been kneeling on the neck of Nigerians, do they want one Nigeria? The answer is no. Because they know that if you have one Nigeria, of course, we know that some people will be more prosperous than the others. They will shine more than the others. But then you cannot stop a moving train. The Igbos, as far as I'm concerned, are the only people in Nigeria today who want one Nigeria. And we have shown it in many ways. Take, for instance, the election of 1999. Akweme, who founded the People's Democratic Party, who was the first chairman of the People's Democratic Party, who was the first chairman of the Board of Trustees of People's Democratic Party, considered the presidency to Obasanjo, who was never a politician, and who even asked us the rhetorical question, how many presidents do you want to make of me? When we considered that presidency to him, and in fact campaigned for him, just for us to have one Nigeria, because of Abiola's debacle. And eventually Obasanjo won. In all the elections in Nigeria, Igbos have always voted for one Nigeria. But what do we have? Nothing to show for it. Nothing to show for it. The only people in Nigeria who want one Nigeria are the Igbos. Look at it. Let me give you an example, common place example, practical example. Where in Nigeria you go today, you find the Igbo man building a house, doing one or two corporate social responsibility matters. Developing wherever he finds himself in Nigeria. Is it Abuja? 80% of buildings in Abuja are owned by the Igbos. Is it Lagos? Lagos is actually Igbo. Two-thirds of Lagos is developed by Igbo man. In fact, the first person to build, the first Nigerian to be the president of the stock exchange of Nigeria was Odumegwu Ojukwu. No, it's Odumegwu Ojukwu. The first time the Queen visited Nigeria after independence, it was really Odumegwu Ojukwu's Rolls Royce that was used to chauffeur the Queen, to carry the Queen wherever she went. Nigeria, Igbo man. As a matter of fact, for one Nigeria to be founded without the Igbo man, there cannot be any. The only person, the only people, the only nation that can sustain the aspiration to have a one Nigeria is the Igbo man. That is why you find him everywhere. And wherever you go in this country, or even in the world, and you don't find an Igbo man, certainly run away from there. Professor, what is his name? Professor Lumumba, in one of his, it was Obi Jackson's lecture. Obi Jackson's lecture, sometime, I've forgotten the year, he said, wherever in the world you go, you don't find an Igbo man, please run. Let your heels be hitting the back of your head as you are running, because that place is uninhabitable. It is inhabitable. So now, if you go further from there, you discover that wherever the Igbo man says his feet, that place develops overnight. But look at it, you can't find any Hausa man or any Yoruba man or whatever building estates in Igbo land. Is the only Igbo man can go to Hausa and build estate, go to Yoruba and build estate, go to Akwa and build estate. No other person in Nigeria can do it. So the only person who can sustain one nation as a principle of statehood in Nigeria is the Igbo man. Take it or leave it. The only Nigerian in Nigeria today is an Igbo man. Every other person is the tribal lord. Every other person is an ethnic champion. That is just my take on that. Thank you very much.
All right. Back to Ken. Ken, just in continuation of that conversation with Nobis, do you think the British had some role to play in the unity of this country, or in fact the ethnicity and the political divisions that we have in this country today, and how much of their involvement really helped or destroyed the very fabric of what holds us as a nation?
Okay.
Hello, Ken. Ken Ofoma, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Are you hearing me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I'm saying that the role played by Britain is actually part of the reason where we are today. And they have not left us since then. We still have the effect of neo-colonialism. But you know, like my co-discussor mentioned, most of the people that played prominent role in the independence of Nigeria are from the South. And when we come to the South, from the Southeast in particular, or Eastern region then, because of that, of course, prominent among them, late Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. After that, the British colonial government, they were not happy with the Igbos for that role they played. And all the constitutional questions, all the census they conducted prior to independence and even shortly after independence, everything was weighted of even they not even delayed our becoming independent. We should have been independent in 1954, but they not said no until that they are not ready. So they were still under the remote control of the West. Now America has joined other European countries. They dictate our economic policies using their institutions like IMF, International Monetary Fund, the World Bank. And they keep on telling us what to do and what not to do. But I have not seen any country helped by IMF or World Bank. But unfortunately, our leaders have not been able to win themselves off from such a new colonial control. But with respect to Igbos and their place in Nigeria, I think we have lamented enough. We have cried enough of marginalization. We have to think. If you remember, after the war, the Jewish people came back in 1948, led by Ben Gurion, established the bureau we know today by force. And they also used the economic power in places like US to determine American policies. Our forte is not politics. Our forte, our area of collective advantage is business. Let us develop our home. Go to because there's always a conspiracy by other ethnic. To consider now, like what was highlighted by my consultant, that only Igbo man will take Nigeria his home. Anywhere he goes, he builds hotels. If you go to Kano, guest hotel owned by a private person is a hotel built by an Igbo man. The same thing in Kaduna, Jos, anywhere you go, Lagos, Abuja. But how much of those investments are they bringing back home? So we should think about developing this area. And it is about cooperation between our governors with the direction of Ohaneze and Igbo. There was a time they set up economic think tank, Ohaneze I'm talking about. It was headed by Soludo then to beat a pathway for economic integration and development of the Southeast. But like I said, politics is always a big issue because they belong to different political parties. None of them will work towards that Igbo unity. I mean, the governors, the political leaders, they are very well divided. And so, but what we need is to develop the Southeast, make use of our economic comparative advantage, build industries, build roads, channel a gas pipeline. Yes, my co-discussed it. You hear about AKK, Ajokuta, Kaduna Kano gas pipeline. That contract is incidentally is being handled by an Igbo man. But there is no gas passing through the Southeast. And you cannot industrialize without gas. You cannot build a power plant without gas. So if the federal government have apparently rejected the Igbo, in quote, we should not reject ourselves. And we should not be crying all the time. Let us channel our resources. Both the I can tell you, if our governors will come together with a good program, let's say we want to bring gas infrastructure to Southeast, rail, Southeast. If a plan, Igbos in the area will invest in it. And when we develop this as an example, build economic power, we can make a bid for political power in Nigeria. And another thing is the establishment of Southeast Development Commission. To the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for that. At least it will be a plan. If they can, if there will be less of politics, it can be a platform to champion this coordinated economic and infrastructural development in the Southeast. I work with the governors, and that is my hope. But we also know that the Development Commission is now everywhere in the 6 geopolitics. But we can make a good example of our own, so that we will be a shadow to other development commissions in the other zones. Thank you.
Contribution on the show this morning. All right, we're switching now to Mr. Nobis. Mr. Nobis, are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah.
Hello, Mr. Nobis.
Hello, Mr. Nobis.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
It seems he's no longer on the line.
He's no longer on
Mr.
the
Nobis,
line.
are you there?
Yes.
Okay. Seems he's not there.
I can
We
hear
just
you.
want to appreciate
He's there, Chap, he's there.
being part of the
He's hearing you.
conversation this morning. It has been one interesting
Charles, I can hear
morning
you. Charles, I can hear you.
with the discussions that we started with earlier. And up until this moment, it has been one discussion that I truly, really love. We started off with talking about democracy in Nigeria and how it has fostered unity and whether, well, maybe democracy wasn't the best form of government for Africans to basically embark upon. We had Nick Agdrile earlier, and we also had just two guests that came online speaking to us on the major issues regarding Igbo unity as it relates to this system. Mr. Nobis, are you there?
I'm here.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so
loud and clear.
on a final note, really, I just want you to wrap it up in maybe another 3 to 4 minutes. The role of the British can really not be overemphasized. But then again, the British have actually left us for quite a while. It behoves on us to check the lines and see what we can do in order to be able to be unified as a nation of different nations. We know we have different values, the West, the North, and then the East, but in these divisions of our values, there's a way we can harmonize it to become one big indivisible nation, which we have not been able to harness. What should we be doing right now in order to get that going?
If I understand your question clearly well, I think it is too late for us to keep on bemoaning the role of the British in the underdevelopment of Nigeria and the Igbo nation in particular. We all know that Zik was never a proponent of the English man's way of governance. We all know that Zik in 1947 led the first, in 1945, led the general strike and played a key role. The general strike against the British government or the British colonialism in Nigeria that led to the independence of Nigeria in 1960. We all know that Zik was against the indirect rule of the British administration in Nigeria. Because of that, the British man naturally hated the Igbo man, and still hates the Igbo man up to as I'm speaking to you now. If you check the historical adventures, the historical forward march of our leaders past, who milked under the breast, from the breast of Nnamdi Azikiwe, you see, most of them were American trained. Zik never encouraged the Igbo man to go to London to study or to advance his course academically. He encouraged them to go to America. Therefore, the Englishman, the British man, Harold Wilson and the rest of his ilk never liked Zik. And by extension, they never liked the Igbo man. That explains why they took sides during the war with Nigeria, in quote, Nigeria in quote, against the Igbos. But today, if we continue to weep over what happened in the past, you are an Igbo man, Charles. The Igbo man will tell you, my grandfather, my great-grandfather, I heard my grandfather say, Mom, it is in Akanobi. Makine Tiakanobi, Legosindum. I do not think it is right for the Igbo man to keep on bemoaning the obvious marginalization or hatred others have against the people of Igbo land. I do not think it is right. It's a matter of fact. It is a commonplace for people to hate anybody who is prosperous. If you are brilliant in class, and in a class of 40, you are the most brilliant in that class, believe you me, 30%, 30 over 40 of the class membership will hate you. I'm a victim. And if you ask Professor Charles Oludo, he will also tell you the same thing. So I know that nobody likes you when you are prosperous, unless you are a fool. It's only a fool who think that, oh, because you're advancing, your peers will be happy with you. No way. What we are in this world doing is competition. You are competing with me, I'm competing with the other person. That is just the truth. When Zik and Awolowo slugged it out, it was a matter of competition. I don't see it as something that one would bear to heart. Ronaldo and Messi are competing. It's a matter of interest. And politics is all about interest. So, Charles. Hello, Charles.
Yes, I'm here.
Just lost him. Good. Yeah. So, when you keep on bemoaning British, it shows a sign of weakness. The Igbo man is not a weak person. The Igbo man is a brave warrior. That is why he was able to stand against an accumulation, a kind of, what do you call it, allied forces, accumulation of different world powers, aggregation of different world powers against him, and he stood for 3 years. So if you could stand for 3 years without gun, without machete, and you were able to face world powers for 3 good years, why should you now at this age be crying? Marginalization. Who is marginalizing you?
Okay, Mr. Nobis.
Nobody is marginalizing the Igbo man because, sir.
Just
nobody is marginalizing the Igbo man.
Just wrap it up in just 1 minute. I have just one minute to go.
Very good. So what I'm saying to my people, the Igbo people, is Nigeria needs you because without you, Nigeria cannot exist. So you should hold your head high and with your shoulders high as well, and walk like a man that you are, the centurion that you are, in Nigerian streets, because you are inconquerable. The Igbo people are, the Igbo man is the only man who can make Nigeria great. Look at what is happening. Sorry, Charles. You see, this is why I don't like granting interviews, because you cut people short when they're about to say something that's very important. There's something very important that I think that we should know. The only reason why Nigeria is backward today is because the Igbo man is not in government. The only person who can make Nigeria to grow and become developed today is the Igbo man, no other person. And that's why the British does not want him. Check out Soludo recapitalization and consolidation, 2005, of banks. Check out Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Check out the due process lady, Obiose Kwesiri. Check out Chuo Kongu of Babangida era. He had Kalu Anya, Kalidika Kalu. These are people who made Nigeria tick. Soludo has never had a match after he left office. Nobody has competed with him after he left office as governor of Central Bank. You can never have someone like him again. Nobody can ever compete with Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala as Minister of Finance in Nigeria. As leaders in Nigeria have always used the Igbos to advance their government, to enrich the country, to develop the country, to make the country progressive. It was Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala who for the first time had got what to call debit forgiveness for Nigeria. Nobody has ever done that. Obasanjo used Igbos. Jonathan used Igbos. Nigeria advanced. Now look, when Buhari came into government, he didn't use Igbos. Look at where he kept us. We look at the price of dollar to the naira at the time he was there. And today, the same thing is happening even in the time in this tenure of the present government. Without the Igbos, you are nowhere. So the Igbos no longer cry of marginalization. Let us go back to where we came from and rehabilitate our place. In my country, in my town, I built a road. I gave them pipe water, electricity, and the rest of them. And so many people are doing so in Igbo. We don't need a government. We can develop on our own without government.
Right.
We made sure battery, Obunigwe. We drove cars without fuel. From Cashew Nut, we were able to produce fuel. We make things out of nothing. We are the Israelis of the world. The only people that God loves. So why should we cry of marginalization? Igbo people should rise. This is our time to take our destiny in our own hands. The cry of marginalization should cease from today. Nobody is marginalizing us. We are only the people who can marginalize ourselves, but we cannot do that because we are great people. Thank you very much, Charles.
Absolutely. Many thanks, Chidi Nobis Enendu, the legal practitioner. Thank you for the insight. It's been one interesting discussion with you. Thank you again. I truly appreciate. And to all of you, I want to appreciate you for being part of the morning show. I truly appreciate you. We're back next week, Monday. But of course, you have to stay on for more programming. Tomorrow morning, my colleague will be here for the weekend show on a new day. I'm Charles. Good afternoon.
Save Nature TV. News in your pocket.